Tonight, the divided states of America as the nationwide firestorm continues. Following Friday's Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. Over the weekend, many Americans taking to the streets. From New York to Mississippi
Young lady, your baby is alive right now.
to California in protest. Others celebrating this monumental moment.
I honestly cried tears of joy.
The conservative majority of the highest court in the land, clearing the way for states to outright ban abortion services for the first time in nearly 50 years.
Today's historic Supreme Court decision is a victory for the sanctity of life.
What I would say is this was wonderful news in the defense of life. Every life is precious.
Healthcare providers just miles apart, now divided by varying laws. Are you bracing to see a surge in patients?
We said this is ground zero and we're bracing for impact, for sure.
Right now, at least 6 states are enforcing near total abortion bans.
I said to her, "Do you realize you're the last woman to get a legal abortion in Alabama?" And she said, "Yeah," and I'm so grateful.
There is no doubt that we're going to end up with haves and have-nots. People who have resources will get out of this part of the country to get care. People without those resources will not have that option.
In the coming weeks and months, a total of 26 states are likely to ban or severely restrict access to abortion.
So there's a range of laws that sort of all are known as trigger bans. So they're not all total bans. Some of them prohibit abortion after 6 or 8 or 10 weeks of pregnancy. That's still a significant reduction in access to abortion. And the exceptions in these laws look different from state to state. So some do have exceptions for abortion in the case of rape or incest. Some do not. There's a range of approaches to how exceptions for the life of the woman are described. Some say life or health.
In Missouri, one of the 13 states with such trigger laws, and where almost all abortions are now banned. Republican lawmaker Mary Elizabeth Coleman says this victory is decades in the making.
When I was a little girl, I was said, I'm part of the pro-life generation, and we would say, we're the generation that's going to end Roe. I didn't expect that we would see it, maybe even in my lifetime, and certainly not while I was still serving. So
you didn't expect that trigger law to actually go into effect?
No, and actually we drafted it in a way that had 3 different ways for it to be enacted because we weren't sure that there would be a Republican majority even when it would ultimately happen, because I thought we were writing a bill for 40 or 50 years from now. And I think that Roe was a disastrous opinion that was not based in anything in the Constitution. To be able to write a bad decision is, I think, a real victory for our country.
Coleman is pushing legislation aimed at preventing healthcare workers in Missouri from helping their patients get abortions in other states.
You would like to crack down on abortion providers from helping women in this state get appointments and access to abortion in other states.
What I would like to see happen is people's activity in the state of Missouri follow the law in the state of Missouri. And if people are going to choose not to do that and to violate the laws of our state, then they will be liable under the penalties in our code for that activity.
Do you want to stop women in Missouri from traveling out of state to get an abortion?
So I don't think there's anything that the state can do or should do, and I'm certainly not interested in limiting a woman's movement. But what I am interested in is protecting the life of all children, not just in the state of Missouri, but across the country. Our laws and our Constitution mean that we have to focus on providing and pushing for legislation either in Congress and having national, federal legislation that's going to guide these things. And then also in Missouri, making sure that people aren't aiding or abetting violating the laws in the state of Missouri.
Just 15 miles away across state lines in Illinois, abortion is still legal.
How can I help you?
Healthcare providers at the Fairview Heights Clinic have been fielding calls all day.
Right now, we see patients 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. But soon that will be 10 hours or 12 hours a day. And eventually it will probably add Sunday to the mix.
Have you seen patients today traveling from out of state? Are they frantic? Can you give us a window into those?
Yeah, our first couple of patients were from out of state today. We had our first patient was from Arkansas, our second patient was from Oklahoma. And so that will continue to be the case. But outside of our normal service area, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, we are seeing those folks already coming to us.
But for some, that won't be an option. What is the impact of low-income women, women of color? Does this put women at risk?
Absolutely. We know that all of these bans and restrictions impact them the most. No matter how robust of a system we can set up to help folks travel to our clinic here in Illinois, there will always be people that don't make it.
Studies show 49% of abortion patients have an income below the poverty line. In Louisiana, where the maternal mortality rate is one of the worst in the nation, especially among Black women, advocates say they are receiving a flood of calls.
If you have a job where you're being paid hourly and you're being paid minimum wage, how easy would it be for you to be able to leave your job or existing kids to leave, to drive somewhere, to be driven somewhere or drive somewhere to have an abortion and then come back? It wouldn't work for them.
Dion Haywood is the executive director of Women with a Vision in New Orleans. Since Roe was overturned, she's been receiving calls from desperate women.
One person wanted to know, how much bleach should I mix with my cold drink or juice to take to end my pregnancy? And so we're saying, absolutely don't take bleach.
The majority of patients we see here are persons of color. The majority already have one or more children. We are looking at women who are already struggling financially. They're trying to take care of the families they already have, and yet now they're told that their choice is gone.
Kathleen Pittman is the administrator at the Hope Medical Group for Women in Shreveport, Louisiana, where abortions resumed today after a judge temporarily blocked their statewide ban from going into effect.
As of this morning, we were granted a temporary restraining order in New Orleans, and so for now we're up and running again. We will resume procedures tomorrow. How long that will last, I do not know.
The order remains in effect until the end of next week, but Pittman says she fears the worst is still yet to come.
I fear that we will be closed permanently. I fear that women will be forced to continue pregnancies they can't care for. I fear women will show up in emergency rooms in very bad situations from complications. I fear more women will die, literally.
While some states have near total bans on abortion, others declaring themselves safe havens. 16 states plus Washington, D.C. have laws that explicitly protect access to abortion care.
We will continue to protect patients from any state who come to our states for abortion care.
The governors of California, Washington, and Oregon even forming a self-proclaimed West Coast offense, welcoming women seeking abortions with open arms. The state of Oregon also donating $15 million to community-based organizations like the Lilith Clinic in Portland.
We feel incredibly fortunate to be on the West Coast. We are fortunate to have leaders who not only promote pro-choice policies, but I think go the distance and are proactive in figuring out how we can protect access to abortion care.
But Grayson Dempsey fears that investment won't be enough to sustain a continued influx of patients.
I don't think that that $15 million is going to be the answer to all of our problems. I think that that needs to be an initial investment in the infrastructure that we build up in the state, making sure that we have the workforce to meet the demand, making sure that we are training the next generation of providers, making sure that clinics have the infrastructure in place to be able to serve this huge surge in patients.
For women and healthcare providers across the country, no matter where they live, a post-Roe world is the new normal.
I have to say that I don't think any place in the country is going to be untouched by this decision. So even in the states that will continue to provide robust access to abortion, there will be a significant change because there will be an influx of individuals from other states, and that's going to impact the availability of people in that state to access abortion care. Everyone is going to feel the impact.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.